the dreaded Saturn return. Okay, it's really not as bad as people make it out to be, although it can be. It really does depend on your Saturn placement. Anyway, let's break this down. What is Saturn return? Okay, so first of all, we have to understand the planet Saturn, right? So Saturn is the heavy, the authority, the serious planet. This correlates to Capricorn, this correlates to 10th house. So if you understand Capricorn energy, you're kind of getting an idea here. It's earthy, it's grounded, it takes no messing about. It's about discipline, it's about reliability, it's about getting the job done. It doesn't care about your excuses. If you've been doing bad, you need punishment. You need to do time served. You need to go into that dark place and suffer to create mastery. So in the end, it's all laughs and giggles. Well, it's not really, but it's something to be proud of. We've mastered this energy. We've mastered this place in our lives the older we get. So Saturn works better if we're older, we're wiser, we're more mature. When we're immature, it's kind of like, yeah, the headmaster vibes, you know, someone telling you where you're going wrong all the time and you're having to deal with that. So wherever Saturn sits in your chart, you have this energy here. So, for example, if you have Saturn in the fifth house, the fifth house is the playful house, it's the creative house, it's the Leo house. So, this is a place to have fun, just fun and cheerful and creative and expressive. Maybe you like acting, maybe you like any kind of creativity, or like I say, being with kids, things like that. It's a really, really fun place. Now, if you've got Saturn here, this is a very different energy. So we're bringing some seriousness into this place now. And maybe you're now, as a younger person, being very self conscious. Maybe things happen where things manifest where you're, experiencing something humiliating. Maybe you tried to dance in the playground and then you fell and everyone laughed at you and now you're scarred for life, or it feels like you are, and you feel like you can't express yourself now. Maybe you come from a family where they don't quite understand you, they're incompatible with you in terms of how you express yourself. So then you always feel judged and you feel like you're too much, or whatever it is. It can manifest in many different ways. If you've got Saturn in the third house, maybe you have had experiences where you felt restricted in communicating, in articulating yourself. Maybe people thought you were dumb. Maybe you've had a learning difficulty. However it is, when you're in your younger years, it can feel like this is difficult, this isn't fun. However, as we mature, as we gain wisdom, this works with Saturn a lot more. It's about time served, right? So we've done our punishment. Not that we need to be punished, but we need to mature. That's what Saturn's all about. It gives you time to mature, and you have to go through these isms and schisms and these insecurities and fears to then become the master. Wherever you have Saturn, you have gifts here. At first, it feels like you don't have a gift here. And then later on, this becomes somewhere where you can even create a career because you take this stuff so seriously. You've been through things, through hardships in this area of life. You know this well. You know this better than anyone. Now, if you've got multiple planets in a place, then obviously there's multiple energy there. If you've got Saturn somewhere where you've also got the sun, now that's a two very different energies. Where you've got the sun, it's like you're fluid here, this is a gift area for you, but then you've also got Saturn there. So be aware of obviously multiple planets in a certain place, obviously aspects as well, which means where other planets are interacting with another planet. So if you have the sun right next to your Saturn, then that becomes your identity, because sun is the identity and it's right next to Saturn, so they kind of come together as an energy. But anyway, again, that's a story for another day. And we're just trying to understand the energy of Saturn. Okay, so I'm hoping you understand this energy of Saturn, right? It's actually a gift long term. And all you Capricorns out there, if you've got any Cap placements, you will know and you'll be like, cool, I know all about this. I know all about having to wait for the payoff, because that's what I do. Okay, that's Saturn. Now, if you're very impulsive, if you're an Aries, you're a Gemini, this isn't the funnest energy. And if you don't really have a lot of 10th house and a lot of heaviness, then you probably would struggle with the idea of Saturn. But it's actually a good thing. It really, really is. It's a blessing in the end. So now this idea of Saturn return, what is return? So every birthday you will have a sun return that we call a birthday. So the sun has gone around the entire chart and it's come back to where your sun is. So that's a sun return. So you get those every year. And so you have this with every planet. But the Saturn takes a long time because it's an outer planet. So when we do have this, a lot of things happen in our lives to help us basically fix up even more. So it's actually a gift, but it's kind of like, okay, buckle up, let's go. You have this with every single planet though. People seem to focus a lot on the Saturn, I think, because it's about fixing up, getting it done. And so it can be quite obvious in your life when things like this happen. Depending on whether Saturn is a big planet in your chart, meaning have you got a lot of aspects to Saturn or a lot of other planets making interactions, is this a big part of your chart? Is it in the first house? Is it on the ascendant line? Is it on the MC line, career line, the IC line, the family line, or the DC line, the relationship line? This would be more prominent for you because Saturn's a big deal in your chart. If you've got Saturn right next to any of the planets, it's going to be a big deal in your chart. If your Saturn is just sat there alone and it's not really making a lot of aspects, and if it is, maybe they're harmonious aspects, then this isn't going to be too difficult because Saturn isn't a big deal for you. That's not a big part of your journey in this lifetime. And so it's different for everyone. But what this essentially means when it returns to its place, it's now coming right next to your personal Saturn. Everything's amplified to do with your Saturn. And as I say, Saturn isn't the funnest planet in the sky. Now, everything that you felt anyway to do with your Saturn is amplified. Now, the first Saturn return is roughly around 30 years, 28, 30 years, depending on your birthday. And you can just go on Google and look up when is my Saturn return. A calculator will come up and you can figure out when it is. Now, because Saturn moves back and forth, what all the planets do, that's when it goes in retrograde, when it goes back. So you may have multiple dates of your Saturn return. That just means it's shifting back and forth. So you kind of experience it quite a few times, right? Some people, it might just be one time. And it's going to amplify everything you've got here. So for you to really work with this, we want to know where you've got Saturn. Comment below because I'd be interested to know who is listening and what kind of energy you've got, where your Saturn is, and if it's aspecting any of the planets. That's, if you don't really understand astrology too well, that can be a little bit tricky to understand. I'm going to give up an example chart here to show you what I'm talking about. This is the glyph for Saturn, and this, in this chart, we can see it's being aspected by these other planets. And the more difficult lines, there's more friction here. There's less flow, there's more resistance, and things manifest in your life, which then reveal things to do with that. In other videos, I will be going through specifics. Just for this video, I want to explain what Saturn return is and whether it's even that bad. Now, I've been through my Saturn return, and personally, it wasn't that bad at all. But I have a pretty easy Saturn. Now, I've got friends that have been through a Saturn return, and I love hearing about it. Um, so again, if you've got any stories, please let me know because I find them really interesting. And for my friend in particular, it was a really obvious time for her. She had Saturn in the third, and there was a lot of legal work going on. She actually had to rewrite a contract. It kind of felt like her life was ending in a way. A lot of people say things like that. It feels like what is going on in my life? So I've listened to, various people, and some people have a difficult time, some people don't. Now, if you're having a difficult time, knowing this information is going to be a godsend. This is what you want to understand, is that this isn't punishment, even though it probably feels like it, and this isn't forever. This is a time to learn. It's basically just getting you suited and booted, ready for the ride. And after this, you will feel like you've gained a lot of wisdom, gained a lot of knowledge. I've actually found it to be a really beautiful time. I have Saturn in the fifth, so there were a lot of experiences that I had to go through which erupt that Saturn in the fifth. There were some lessons with authority, but there was a chance for me to understand that, oh, maybe this authoritative figure is actually coming from this place, there was just a lot more space for me to go into it. Now, on the outside, it kind of looks like I'm going through a difficult time because I am. But in turn, because I know I'm in a Saturn return, I'm kind of seeing this as I'm in training, I'm taking these tests, these lessons, and I'm learning from this. So this isn't fun, but this is what I need. That's how it feels. But again, I do have quite an easy one. There are a lot of experiences where I was kind of putting myself out there a lot more. Having Saturn in the fifth, you can feel more self conscious in ways in terms of expressing yourself or being creative. Um, you can be quite hard on yourself in terms of the work that you put out there. And so there were just a lot of opportunities for me to do that. And so some of the examples that I had during my Saturn return, I actually created a Saturn return diary. And reading it back is actually really beautiful because it's like, oh, now coming out the other side, it's really quite I just learned a lot and there was a lot of space. But other people, it can be really feel like this isn't me learning. This is me, in the thick of it, really going through it, and that's okay. Life is about ups and downs. Everyone goes through ups and downs. We will constantly go through ups and downs. It's just wisdom that comes with those downs after they've happened. Even if you're in the thick of it, you just go through the motions. Don't be too hard on yourself. You're learning through things. Just learn to kind of ease up a little bit more as much as you can. Try and ease up, let it flow, and time will do its thing. Where, like as Saturn does, where later on this will become wisdom now. And you actually go through another Saturn return later on in life. But I'm guessing most people listening are probably around the 30 mark. But the next one after that is around 58 to 60. I actually haven't really spoken to anyone that has gone through that because I can imagine that's a whole different wave of maturity, because you're already coming from a wise place compared to your 30-year-old self. This is a time of learning, a time of opportunities that feel really difficult, but they transform into wisdom because your Saturn placement is what makes you a badass. And that's some Capricorn talk right there. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening, and I'll hopefully see you soon.